All right, we are back. Let's get into the social media submissions to the People's Panic Meter, starting with this one from Samuel Farmer. Saquon, the Eagles' offense looks dysfunctional. They're struggling to block in the run game. He has not been nearly as explosive. Needs a touchdown to pay off his week at this point. Panic level on Saquon Barkley, Justin Boone.
Total panic. Is it not total panic? Like this is not the 2024 Eagles anymore. This is not the 2024 Saquon Barkley. He's not having the same success. And I don't even think it's the line. Like, a lot of people want to point to the line not being as good. I don't think the line is like problematic. Yeah, it might not be as good as it's been in years past, but I don't think it's like the problem. I think it's just this offense. It's stagnant. It's predictable. The players aren't happy. You talked earlier about like vibes with some teams, right? Like, this might be the ultimate team where guys just do not seem happy out there. You have even like a good soldier like Devonta Smith out there sitting on the bench, looking bothered next to AJ Brown. Like, they can't get it going regardless of matchup here. And now coming up, it's the Vikings, it's the Giants again, then a bye, and then the Packers, which is such a tough matchup. So I'm not confident that we're going to see things change here, at least in the short term. And if you're struggling and you got a losing record and you got Barkley on your team, I think you have to consider moving him. If you can get anything, you can get anybody, top 12, top 15 running back value or wide receiver value in return. If you can get a couple pieces maybe to help your lineup in return for his name value, I think I would do that. Like, this year, he hasn't even broken 100 scrimmage yards in any game. Last year, he did that 13 times. Like, something is off in Philly. I don't know what is going to change to fix this in the near future here. So for me, it's total panic on Barkley.
Yeah, Rico Dowdle the last 2 weeks has more yards from scrimmage than Saquon Barkley does on the entire season. So that's how things are going for Saquon Barkley. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm total panic on Saquon Barkley, and I actually don't have any concern. Like, I don't think this is the curse of touches or anything like that. I actually do think I think the problems with the offense start on the offensive line. The fact that they don't have this dominant interior just barreling people over in the run game, it's causing a cascading effect where then, because honestly, Boone, Kellen Moore pushed some nice buttons last year and made them a little bit less predictable, just in terms of some of the wrinkles with motion and stuff like that. But they've always been a kind of static, rather predictable offense with Jalen Hurts under center. They've just had better players than you, and they've been a better offensive line than basically everybody in the league. They have injuries in the interior, so that's part of the problem. And then, as you mentioned, I cannot believe how bad the vibes are for this team and how it seems like everybody hates each other, and they just won the freaking Super Bowl like a few months ago. So it's just like all of these things together.
There was a lot of partying. I had friends before the season that were telling me my rank on Saquon Barkley was too high purely based on the fact there were so many pictures of him celebrating and partying during the offseason. I was like, you can't make fantasy analysis based on that. Now, even though I don't think that's the reason why, now I kind of wish I had listened to them and moved him down a little bit.
I think that's pretty fair. All right, next one we're going to get into here. Dream Hoop sends, is Kenneth Walker officially a bust? Boone, is Kenneth Walker a bust? It depends on how high you ranked Kenneth Walker, I guess. I had him as a running back too, kind of a 4th round pick. Is he going to return that value? I don't know. Where are you at with Kenneth Walker from a panic meter standpoint?
I'm total panic. Yeah, is he a bust? Like, I also had him ranked as an RB2, and I talked him up as somebody that I was certainly targeting, who I got on a bunch of teams, and I also got Zach Charbonnet on a lot of those teams as well. And just what we're seeing here is not great, but I also don't think it's Walker's fault. And I know fantasy-wise that doesn't make much of a difference for anybody because you just want to see the production and you don't really care if the player still looks all right out there or not. But to me, most weeks he's looked fine. I think this rushing attack hasn't exactly been as successful as we thought it was going to be. And he didn't get going against the Jags this week, but he has at least 85 scrimmage yards in 3 of his last 5 outings. He's averaging more than 2 yards per carry than Zach Charbonnet. And yet this week, Zach Charbonnet plays 60% of the snaps. Walker just 35. I can't sort that out. I don't know if you have any insight on this, Harmon. That one I cannot figure out. I know like the Sigmund Bloom thing, the assumption of rational coaching. Maybe I'm foolish to think that Walker seems like the better back. Why are they not even giving him more work out there? How on earth could it not even be 50-50? How is this a Charbonnet leading the way? I know our buddy Nate Tice was tweeting that Charbonnet has a higher rushing success rate than Walker. It's by a slight margin, but just kind of even things out. I think, he's suggesting maybe there that Charbonnet isn't completely down compared to Walker. Like a lot of people seem to feel the way that I do about it, that, Walker is the better back. To me, it just looks like Walker's the more dangerous option. Like he's the home run hitter type, but I don't have an answer for this one, Harmon. Like I don't have that clear, okay, this is what it is. Yes, he's a bust because of this. Because when I watch him out there, more often than not, I still think he looks like the much better back and looks like a good back. And I wonder why they're not handing over more of the offense just to him.
Yeah, I wrote a whole piece on the Seahawks offense last week, and a lot of my thoughts on that still stand in terms of the running back split. I think there's no question, and I don't think any human being, maybe even Zach Charbonnet himself, would deny that Kenneth Walker is the more explosive back, and he's clearly the better home run hitter. The problem is that he is a guy who will take negative yards. And I know Zach Charbonnet has some negative. He has actually a higher stuff rate this year in terms of runs for 0 or negative yards. But like Nate pointed out, and I pointed this out in the article too, in certain concepts, Charbonnet is able to get what's blocked more than what Kenneth Walker does. But they really weaponize him on some of those outside zone runs where he's really dangerous and can hit the edge. I think the bigger problem, and by the way, like I think you need a second change up here in the backfield, because Kenneth Walker he's gonna touch the ball 18 to 20 times a game. He's probably gonna end up getting hurt because he's a guy that has never played a full season before, and I don't think they want to wear him down. There might be a point, by the way, Boone, this team looks like they're going to be a playoff team. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. There might be a point where they say, all right, now it's time to just unleash Kenneth Walker because it's nut cutting time or we're trying to win football games. Like there might be a point where he is vastly outworking Zach Charbonnet. It's a long season. My only contention here, the thing that I think is disappointing about this team, is that right now in terms of rushing success rate, they're 23rd overall. So if they're going to split the backfield, I thought this run game would just be better, and that's where I think I was wrong this season, and that I thought both these guys could be usable if the run game was going to be better than friggin' 23rd in the NFL.
Yeah, same. And I think now you just have to look at it. Like the reason I won't say Walker's like a complete bust is because most weeks I'm going to rank him as a low-end RB2. I don't think I've put him in the high-end RB3 range yet. And Charbonnet's not that far behind him. They're just a lot closer than I anticipated. So I don't think he's a complete bust. I think we've seen some good games from him, like I mentioned. I think there will still be some good games coming up. But overall, this rushing attack is just not as effective as we thought it was going to be before the season.
It's a long season, folks. Just remember that. We are only in week 7 here. There might be a moment where Kenneth Walker really crushes it over the course of the final month of the season or so. All right, next one up comes from Brandon Swayze. Tucker Kraft finished the week. The finishing fantasy line looked good, but only 2 targets. Boone. I mean, shout out to Brandon here and a few other people who sent in some Tucker Kraft submissions. I saw some late emails to the submissions. But just remember, get those emails in by 2 p.m. Eastern, all right? I say it every show. Got to get them in by 2 p.m. Eastern. We got a lot of folks here working hard on the graphics. We can't make them make a Tucker Kraft email graphic at 4 o'clock Eastern or whatever, an hour before the show starts. So Tucker Kraft, any concern, as he is somebody that people noted. I always find it crazy when the guy has a good fantasy game and there's still some panic. But what are your thoughts on this?
Well, this was probably an easy graphic for them to make because no panic. We don't even have to color it in at all. I mean, he's not a volume guy, right? He's a yards after catch guy. He's a touchdown guy. Yeah. We know how this offense works. They're going to spread it around. But the fact that he has at least 55 yards and or a touchdown in 4 of his 5 games this year, that's fantastic. So I don't have any concerns. I think this is a quick one to go through. We can keep going.
Yeah, I agree. The reason that we talked up Tucker Kraft in that late round tier of tight ends, and he was not drafted to be an elite fantasy tight end. You probably took him in the 9th round. That was where his ADP was. That was where I always remember, folks, the amount of times we talk about a player does not mean equal to ranking of player. That's why we do the rankings. That's why Boone grinds on those things. So we talked a lot about Tucker Kraft. Still kind of ranked him as one of those priority targets in the 9th round, at least for me. So keep that in mind. But the reason that we liked him so much is that, yeah, he didn't need 10 targets a game to put together some scammy tight end line like some of these other guys. He can make your week in just 2 targets because he's a badass, because he's awesome at the game. So we don't need to see Tucker Kraft get a lot of targets. He's going to have down weeks. Everybody's going to have down weeks. It is what it is. All right, moving on to a guy who only has down weeks. Daddy Goat sends in Travis Hunter. Had 15 yards. I was so mean to a player I really love. But Travis Hunter had 15 yards today and screwed up a BTJ bomb. Bye week is week 8. But how much more can we really expect from Travis Hunter? Boone, what is the Travis Hunter panic meter right now?
I'm smashing the coping corner button right now. This is coping corner. This is the hardest coping corner because, like you just said, this is a player that I like. But this is coping corner. I mean, 45 yards or less in 5 of his 6 games, 25 yards or less in 3 of those. The playing time has gone up. The production hasn't. He's still making these really foolish mistakes out there, like the one that they suggested, the offside. He's, not only costing fantasy managers points, he's costing his team points out there as well. Like, he'll make some big plays, I think, along the way, but isn't he just like a wide receiver 4 flex option who might like pop off here or there? And there's so many of those guys. Like every week, we'll talk about it when we get to the waiver wire section here. Every week you can find those guys. So why are we really holding on to this? I don't think it's going to happen. In Dynasty, I'm holding. I still think he's got a bright future. In redraft, I just don't think it's going to happen for him this year. And I think you mentioned earlier, we're getting to like the bye week crunch. Injuries are mounting. Maybe your IR spots are full. You got to start to decide what you're doing with your bench spots. I think he's a player that some people will be able to actually drop it. I don't think they're going to regret it.
I'm going to ask for one more week on the Travis Hunter Coping Corner. You've talked me down a couple times on Coping Corner. I'm going to ask you to give me one more week just because he did set a season high in route participation, which, again, I made the joke yesterday. I get it. You guys don't score fantasy points based on route participation. But it seemed to me like he was trending up, in terms of offensive involvement, and they clearly do need to involve him in the offense. It seems like that's moving in the right direction. They just got their ass kicked up front by the Seahawks pass rush this last game, which is why I think that it contributed to just the overall blech of the entire passing game. So give me one more week. If it doesn't happen from a fantasy standpoint this week, and I get it, I'm with you that I think he's probably just like, it is what it is in redraft. I'll put him in the Coping Corner right in time for his bye week. I promise I will capitulate next week.
You can correct me if I'm wrong. I will totally allow it. I agree. We can, because you said it. We've done this before both ways. I will admit, though, that what you just said is something I looked at, that he was more involved. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he had 7 targets in this game, and yet the production was like so bad off of that. I almost took that as a negative.
Bunch of screens,
week, right?
I know.
It was like you get all this opportunity and you don't produce with it. That's so problematic. But anyway, I will give it to you. One more week.
I agree.
More week. We'll hold it off.
I agree. I just think I know they just threw a bunch of screens because, again, they were getting such quick pressure. Trevor Lawrence, I think, was pressured like 30 plus times in this game, but they are actually having him run some real downfield routes, just not getting him the ball there. So, by the way, they play the Rams pass rush in London or whatever this week, so I don't think this is actually going to go any better for the Jags as they have some offensive line injuries. But again, we'll put a pause on this, and I'll capitulate next week if it comes to it. All right, last one, and we can hit this one quickly because this is a guy we've talked about a lot. Matt Mayer sent in a bunch of names here, but I want to focus specifically on, oh my God, yeah. He just sends in Chase Brown, Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, TreVeyon Henderson, Calvin Ridley. This is my 5 out of 9 on my lineup today. I'm not panicking. I'm finished. Yeah, there's a lot of Coping Corner in your tweet here. TreVeyon Henderson. Is it time to put him in the Coping Corner? Like, he's a guy I think I've said for 3 weeks straight that he should be in the Coping Corner.
I liked his prospect profile. I bought the summer hype on him. Even last week, I was still holding out hope, Harmon, and yet, yeah, it's time. He's got to go. You're not going to push back on this one. It's Coping Corner for TreVeyon. Like, he's just not doing anything. He got a little more opportunity. He's not doing anything with his touches in an offense like we were talking about earlier, where Drake May is elevating everyone around him. All these receivers, all these players are at least having a game here or there. Henderson is not. We're not seeing highlight plays. He's another guy that's still making rookie mistakes. And if you're waiting on like the post rookie bye week bump, he doesn't have a bye week until week 14. So you'll be waiting a long time for that one. It's over. He's in Coping Corner. Hopefully career wise, he gets it on track, but redraft wise, I don't think we need to talk about him much more.
Well, again, just a reminder what the Coping Corner is. It's almost like a temporary, we're putting you in timeout, but it can just be a timeout, right? For some of these guys that are in our coping corner, and we'll just review the candidates right now here. It's Calvin Ridley, it's Isaiah Pacheco, TJ Hawkinson, Chase Brown, Tony Pollard, TreVeyon Henderson. One of these things does not look like the other, right? I don't think my guess is we're not pulling Isaiah Pacheco, or we're not pulling TJ Hawkinson out of the coping corner. But for TreVeyon Henderson, he's a young player, and like if you had gotten your way and Travis Hunter was in here, these are all guys I'm really trying not to drop. I'm trying to not drop these rookies because we know what can happen. Like the end of the season, these guys the light can turn on. Suddenly the speed of the game, it slows down. They get more dialed in. We're just way too quick to judge rookies overall. So I'm not saying you need to go out and drop TreVeyon Henderson for some, goofball off the waiver wire that's going to score you 8 points in your wide receiver spot. Yeah, go drop him for the next Darius Slayton or whatever. I'm not saying that. It's just right now, like, he's not somebody you can start, and you shouldn't be panicking about that because it is what it is, basically.
Yeah, we've said send him to your bench weeks ago, right? Like, it was put him on your bench and hold, and hopefully something changes. And like you just mentioned, like, he's just, because the Antonio Gibson injury, he is one Ramondre Stevenson injury away from being the guy in that backfield, and then that would potentially change everything. But I just wish we saw something exciting from him that we could at least cling to, and it hasn't happened yet through 6 weeks.
Agreed. Doesn't mean it can't happen. We just haven't seen it yet. All right, let's take our next break. When we come back, it's time to get into the players Boone is adding off the waiver wire. We will get into that right after this break.